Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right. Hello. How are everyone out there doing this evening? Oh, I have a good one for you. Welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program. I'm your host, Kimberly McLemore, here for another great show tonight. Can't wait to share this opportunity and to share our stage here this evening with Altovise Pelzer. She is the CEO of Define Your Voice Academy, the startup empowerment coach, creator of the Love My Voice Empowerment and Networking Tour, best-selling author of It's Okay to Cry, Speak Easy podcast. Altovise is also the author of a series of self-help books of businesses, women, and families, and the CEO of Define Your Voice Academy. Born and raised in Philadelphia, Altovise at an early age developed a love of writing that would get her through many difficult situations. With what she didn't know was that writing would create an opportunity to advocate for those who feel as though they have lost their voice because of their past. Altovise is passionate about motivating women and youth through speaking. Her holiday anti-bullying youth initiative, Gifts for Change, and in the pages of her books. She finds inspiration for her book series and conference topics from life experience such as the molestation of her two daughters, fighting homelessness, the loss of her mother, and battling with keeping the secret of her own molestation. She encourages both women and youth to keep pressing in all circumstances. Without further ado, let me bring on board my special guest, Altovise Pelzer. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I am doing great. I am so excited about us being able to talk again. It has been a while since we last talked. I mean, you know, you were on my other show because you are a phenomenal author as well. So having you now on this side of the other side of I should say, my other side of my show, I'm real excited about being able to talk about some of the other things that you do. So, before we get started into the interview questions, why don't you just tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself?
So it's interesting. I am an introvert. I am a brownie lover with ice cream preferably and nuts.
I can't hang around you, okay?
I have gone through some things in life that have really put me in a position where, I think sometimes it's okay to eat dessert first. You got to learn that there's a lot going on in life and you got to enjoy the moments. I spent a lot of years not enjoying the moments. I spent a lot of years where I was going through depression and where I was going through, trying to figure things out and try to, we call it make ends meet.
Right.
In reality, they don't really always meet, at least not without you putting forth some extra effort. So, just really being able to move forward, starting a business, being able to leave my full-time job as a single mother, that was an amazing feat. But it didn't come without its, tolls and its bumps and bruises and a couple of bars. But I'm excited about the journey and thankful that I did start the journey.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when I think about all the things that you've been through and you're talked about and what I've read. And like I said, we've talked before, but we really focus so much on the book. So you having the opportunity to tell your story is why I wanted you to come back. Like I always explain to my listeners and the people who are watching that there's so much more to us in life than just the glory that you see us being glamorous every day, and talking and preaching and trying to help those reach their goals. I really want my show to always talk about the fact of how we got there. So I know that with all the journeys and the things that you went through, and like you said, things weren't as as beautiful as they are now, and everything was such a struggle. We always use those phrases that we use about, like I said, making ends meet. But talk about what were the other things that inspired you to truly jump into the things that you've developed for other individuals?
So for me, it was a conversation that I had with my oldest daughter um, about trust. And in having that conversation, it was the first time that I had actually told anybody that I myself had been molested. It was, I don't know what it was, but as children, we feel as though we want to hold on to some things. We want to hold back things because we don't want to um, make our parents feel bad. We don't want them to be upset, or, we don't want to make them angry. And I kind of took that on.
Mm-hmm.
I took that on and never told my mother. She went to her grave never knowing about me being
Wow.
molested as a child. And so in 2015, I had a conversation with my oldest daughter, and I kind of blurted it out. And it was one of those moments where I wish I was able to kind of reel it in and bring all of those wonderful words back before they were able to hit her ears, but it didn't work that way. But later on down the line, when I asked her, a question of what was her most proud moment of me, I was thinking, okay, I had already published the book. I'm a life coach, helping people, I'm speaking. And she said that moment was her most proud moment. So if my oldest daughter, from one conversation of me being a little transparent, even though I was reluctant in being transparent,
Mm-hmm.
could help and inspire and, kind of that, break up some things in between us, then what
Mm-hmm.
could it do for another woman? And the voice coach was birthed, helping women to find their voice after abuse.
Right. Yeah. And just listening to you talk about when you just said that your mother never knew, that has to be the hardest thing in the world for you to live with every day, knowing that you felt you could not share that unfortunate experience. But the beauty about it was that you realize the importance of it for your daughter, and that your daughters understand that we all have certain secrets in our lives that we don't like to talk about. I've been abused. I talk about it because it helps others to understand that, what we go through in life, we don't like these type of struggles, but at the same time, I'm helping other people realize that you don't have to live this way. You don't have to be confined in who you are every single day of your life because of what you've gone through, right? And you do the same thing. But my heart just sat here and sank for a second, just knowing that feeling that you're going through. And even though you're continuing every day to be able to move forward in your life, to be able now to be the voice of somebody else because of your secret, I guess express a little bit more to me and the listeners what that journey was like. When you had, like I said, when you had the conversation with your daughter, the journey with your mother, not knowing, what was that feeling like for you every day? Because I know that somebody's connecting with you right now as we're having this conversation.
So it was a matter of when I was younger, there was a time and period when my mother was finishing school. My mother actually, had 3 degrees, a
Mm-hmm.
well-educated woman. When she got sick pretty early in life because of diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like I had to protect her.
Mm-hmm.
And even as I got older, even as I became a teenager, that was me. I felt like I had to protect her. And during that time when it happened, I wasn't living with her. So it
Oh,
wasn't her fault. She wanted to do something better for us and be able to do more for us. And now, even in my own, journey as a single mother, I know what that feels like,
mm-hmm.
where you don't want to ask for help. You don't really want to tell anybody when you're not doing 100% because you want to fight through it and do whatever you can possible. And it was interesting because I, you know, I developed this really bad habit, and it is a really bad habit where we don't ask for help.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
even while she was, she wasn't well and there was a 3-year period that she was in the nursing home in her 40s and passed away, it was like I didn't want to burden her with that information. But even still, how would I talk to her about that? How would I have a conversation? And I learned that lesson. And when it came to my children, I changed the status quo. And so we have the hard conversations. We talk about some of the things that people would not, quote unquote, normally talk about.
Right.
Because it's necessary.
Well, necessary. And at the same time, we've always, in our community, especially in our Black communities, we've been raised to, we don't talk about these things outside the home. You keep everything to yourself. There's nobody else's business what goes on. But at the same time, there's no healing. There's no understanding of what's going on. And then, like you said, as you become an adult, you're still dealing with these things. And now you've got children that you've brought into the world. How do we help them move forward if we can't communicate, right? So your lessons and the things that you went through, unfortunately, you went through such tragic things, being molested, being abused. That is the most tragic thing that anybody could ever go through. Like I said, I understand abuse. And it's the hardest thing in the world is to think that we are always constantly protecting those that we love. And the reality is we're actually really hurting ourselves more and them because they can't help something they don't know about. And even if they're upset about it, it's a journey that we all have to go through together, And so, like you said, you broke that mold. And now that you've broken that mold with your family, you've done all these phenomenal things with your businesses. So let's dive in a little bit more and talk about your businesses. You have several, but I want to focus on the one that I love to hear about, the Define Your Voice Academy. Explain what this academy is about.
So I found that there is a gross misconception when it comes to entrepreneurship. And the gross misconception is that every entrepreneur is the same. That we all handle strategies the same, that we all think the same, that we all execute in the same manner. And the reality is that it's completely opposite of the truth. And it makes it even worse is that women who have gone through abuse have a whole other mindset when it comes to entrepreneurship. And a lot of the coaches that are coaching right now do not see it. They do not acknowledge it, and therefore, what ends up happening is women go into these coaching programs, and they become triggered. They become re-abused, not on purpose,
right?
But simply because that person does not know how to handle somebody who has gone through abuse, the mentality, the triggers, the things of that nature. They don't understand that. And so since they don't understand that, what ends up happening is something happens and you lash out at the person. Well, now what are they supposed to do? They don't know how to handle that because they did not necessarily overcome
what they've been through.
Exactly. And so what I do is I take them through a 10-week program. And originally I had started the program, and it was a course where it would be a group course and it was group coaching. And I found that women will go and share more when it's a one-on-one as opposed to if it's a group, when it comes to something of that nature. And so I made it a one-on-one 10-week course, and I take you through this process of defining your voice. So when I went through and rebranded my business, because I became an entrepreneur in 2014, but I rebranded in 2016. When I rebranded, there were some things that I had to endure as someone who was overcoming abuse, as well as being the mother of teen girls who were going through things. There were some things that I had to pay attention to in my own life in order for me to really focus on what this business would be and how I had to approach it and what was going to work best for me. I take women through that process. And so a part of that process, I would say, is, looking at our pivotal moments. And pivotal moments are those moments in our life where we literally pivot. We may have been on one journey, but we pivoted. The divorce made us pivot. The abuse made us pivot. Becoming a mother made us pivot. And learning that that pivotal moment added some things to us that's valuable.
Yes. I like that. I like what you just said, that those pivoting moments. And the thing that amazes me, and you're right, I never thought about what you just said until you talked about how coaches, we all, like I said, you go into business and everybody tells you, oh, you need a coach, you need somebody to mentor you. But nobody really understands that pain and that story that you've been holding and living with for years. And you're right. It takes one thing to trigger you when people don't understand your full journey. And obviously, as business owners and as women, period, we don't want to always sound like we're complaining and that we're talking about our personal problems. And, and it's that always feeling guilty for wanting to express what we've gone through in life, right? And, we're worried about taking care of everybody else. But when you just talked about this, it just hit me like, wow, you're right. I've never thought of it that way, because as coaches, their job is to do what? One thing. And that is to make sure they get the business up and running, understand the process of what it takes. But nobody thinks about the mental side of what people go through every day. Just in basic stress, right?
Just in the day-to-day.
Exactly. It's the day-to-day is crazy enough, but then you've got all these other things piled on, and I think some people, as they're listening to this, thinking, well, is it really the problem of the individual who's the coach? Should they know these things? Not necessarily, but at the same time, as you said, women will communicate better when they have trust. And I think that's with anyone. But when you've been abused, trust is, oh my gosh, that is the number one thing that we have to get over as a hurdle in order to be successful, right?
Exactly. And you made a good point. You said, a lot of people would think, is it the coach's responsibility? No, it's not to know that. But guess what? The individual woman doesn't even know it.
Woo! You got that right. You are absolutely right. Because what happens is when you've gone through certain situations in your life, and that doesn't have to even be tragic, until you can admit to what you've gone through and you're prepared to move forward, you will maintain that stagnant situation consistently. And because it's funny, because I hear this, I get that question all the time. Well, you've been through all this. How can you continue to move forward? Why are you acting like nothing ever happened? It's not that I don't act like anything's ever happened, but at the end of the day, am I supposed to not live? These things, like you said, that people don't get, it still becomes a part of your life. You're carrying these things with you. So you do need to have an understanding of how do you work with that? How do you communicate with others so that you're not feeling like you're burdening them, but at the same time, you need to be able to express yourself, and it's okay to have that expression, right?
Yep, exactly. And so then you have opposite ends of the spectrum most times.
Mm-hmm.
You have the woman that has been abused that becomes the people pleaser,
or
you have a woman that has been abused that becomes the abuser.
And
so that's what ends up happening in their business. Is I end up becoming a people pleaser. I don't charge my worth. I struggle with follow-up. I don't really want to talk to anybody on the phone because I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
There's little things that stand out because I want to please everybody. I say yes to every opportunity, even when it's an opportunity that is not going to make me money.
Right.
But then you have the abuser on the other end of the spectrum who I'm lashing out at my clients and customers. I'm lashing out at them. I don't know how to really handle connecting with them. And so I don't allow myself to really build any strong connections and bonds. Mm-hmm. And we know that in business, networking is everything.
That's right. If right.
You're not networking, then you won't have a successful business for long. Because networking is right. Far.
Yeah, I like that. I like how you explain that, because you're absolutely right. And I never thought of it that way. And I think I can, even remember during times as you're going through the process of healing, I was always angry, couldn't understand how to play that role of, let me get through the day. Let me figure out how I'm not going to snap at somebody because they don't really know what's going on. I don't want them to know, I don't want them to understand what's going on in my personal life. Right. So the way you just define that is so simplistic, but is so real. And a lot of times when we're being referred to as angry, we're all, we raise our voice. It's what? We're the angry Black woman. They got issues. They got problems. But nobody ever sits down and asks the question, what's really going on? How can I help you? And of course, we can be very defensive in our own right of, well, why are you all in my business, right? Why do you really need to know? But like you said, when you're in business, you can't go very far when you're constantly the pleaser and when you're constantly the angry person lashing at the world because you have not dealt with your personal issue. And the reason why I'm calling it an issue now is because once we've gone past what I say, the abuse, because I always tell people, don't keep calling me a survivor, right? I was surviving when I was going through the process of being abused. I'm no longer that survivor. I am the woman who's moved forward in my life, and that's what other women have done. But until you can deal with that piece, that issue that you're having, you will always be considered the survivor, right? So your program just I love it. I love the fact, and I love, like I said, the name of it and how you're defining how women really do need to have a certain voice. But if you don't understand how to let go of that weight, you're never going to get any further than what you really are.
Exactly. And so one of my clients, I've been working with her for maybe about 2 years. And last year, I want to say it was her first time ever going to an event and speaking and actually telling her story.
Wow.
And she got up there and I was so proud of her. And she came down immediately, was like, Coach, I forgot to say this and I forgot to say that. But she captivated the room. Everybody remembered who she was.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, you did exactly what was needed.
That's right.
And that's what it is. For me, I tell people, when it's that call for you to have your voice heard, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a speaker. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to write a book. Your voice can be heard if you're baking, and maybe your voice is, wanting to change homelessness. And so your voice is baking, and you may do an extra set of donuts and give it out to the homeless. That's still using your voice.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's right.
You just have to understand that's what that program does. I take you through that process of, okay, you may not be on stages because everybody's not meant to be on stages. Let's be honest. I don't know how I got on stages.
Hey, the practice, the things that you're preaching and teaching everybody was your divine purpose, and that's how you end up being on stage. Exactly. Like you said, it was your moment. It was your moment.
Here we are. Last year alone, I did 30 events, and
wow.
Said when I think about it, I'm like 30 live and virtual events. That doesn't include the interviews. That doesn't include going live. That doesn't, I'm like, what in the world? Here it is. That wasn't necessarily where I was starting and where I was trying to go, but something transformed. I defined my voice. And as I defined my voice, I became the face of my brand. As I defined my voice, I became an MC. I became a speaker. I became an author. Book number 11 and 12 have just been announced.
And congratulations.
That's in 3 years, from 2016 until now.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Look, I thought I was on a roll, but I got a lot of catching up to do. And it comes right in right now.
I was just talking to a woman that I know that's a publisher, and she's like got 50. And I was like, I'm on your heels. I'm coming for you. But it's just like, I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to get out of my own way. I had to stop giving myself excuses. And see, it's interesting because I teach my clients to give themselves grace, but not excuses. There's a difference.
Mm.
I give myself grace. And so that same client, when she had a court date, she called me afterwards because she literally was in the middle of the sidewalk crying and could not move.
Wow.
And that was before she had that first speaking event.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself grace. She said, but I'm supposed to, I'm, I'm, I'm not supposed to cry. No, nobody told you that you weren't supposed to cry.
That's right. That's
They
right.
told you that you were supposed to be able to make it through, but not that you were going to cry, that you weren't going to cry. No, it's okay if you cry. You can cry all you want. You can scream and holler if you like, as long
Mm-hmm.
as they don't arrest you. You can scream and holler.
They're like, ma'am.
Okay? You do what's necessary for you. That's the
Right.
grace that you give yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
then you only give yourself that moment for that moment because of where you are. And then you take yourself to a safe place.
Mm.
So that way you can go and be around some people that love you and get what it is that you need. But you give yourself that grace. Now, I'll tell them, listen, all right, now you got 24 hours. And this is a tip that I'll give anybody. When you're going through something traumatic, document it.
Mm. That's right. That's
Document.
right. Journal it. That's right. That's always important.
And she was like, but I can't go live. I said, I didn't say you had to go live. I said,
Mm-hmm.
that's you either writing it down or you're recording yourself. And I said, with the trauma that you're going through right now, this is all a part of your process.
Yeah.
Document it. Go ahead and talk about it. Even if you're talking to yourself, put that phone on record and go ahead and record yourself and listen back to this, 6 months from now, and look at how far you've come.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is a great suggestion. I like that. You know, her standing there and thinking about, well, how am I going to walk through this door? I'm crying. I don't know what to do. You know, we're being told you got to be strong all the time. No, that crying is a part of your healing. You are allowing people to heal. You're allowing them to be who they are. And, we're so busy trying to conform, and you take people out of that comfort zone of conformity. And part of that is because you've learned that yourself. I've learned that myself. That's how you become successful. And that's how you learn to understand who you are. And I love how you talk about the one thing you were saying, that they're not allowed to say, I can't, or they can't. Everything is a grace, and it's okay to have that grace. It's okay to be able to write these things down. That writing is a healing session for them. That's part of the journey too. You are absolutely 100% right. And I could sit here and talk to you for hours about this, because we have so much in common and we're so much alike in a lot of ways, but there's so many other women and men and children and our families and friends who are constantly going through this circle of trying to understand who we are when we are having these problems. When we don't share these certain journeys in our life, and we're trying to educate people how important it is that you have to communicate. And you do that very well. And I'm just ecstatic, because I'm just excited about you having more books. So you have to come back on my other show too, since we talk about more of your books, because it's just so wonderful to hear your success and the things that you're doing. I've got a couple more questions before we have to close out. Like I said, we can keep talking for a long time, but I want to talk a little bit about the challenges that you have faced throughout the years of dealing with not just yourself, but the business side of it. And what advice would you give for those who are going through the process of starting a business?
So one of the things that I want to say is that, let's be honest, let's be real, life happens. Every opportunity is not going to be the best opportunity. No matter how much we research it sometimes. We're not going to always know people and if things are going to be right, but you got to follow the plan that you set in place. I know that for this year, we the accountability group that I have and coaching program, it's called the World Voice League, and at the beginning of the year I said, great. No, last year I said, you know what, we're going to rock it out. I'm just going to go ahead, and normally I keep everything small. I said, we're just going to rock it out. and we're going to open it up and have people join. And January, I had people leave. And I was like, wait, no, that's the opposite
Right.
of what I said. You're not listening.
Like, wait a minute now.
That's the opposite of what I said. I said coming, not going. And so I was talking about it earlier in a training. I said, we have these fears, and I could have allowed that fear that rose up in me that said, oh my goodness, maybe this wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. Maybe I shouldn't be launching this right now. Maybe I shouldn't be doing it. I could have allowed that fear to rise up and literally put a chokehold on the future of, what I was doing and what I was putting together. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And a few weeks later, I had one of my clients who was in there. She was in class that morning, and we were talking and did this coaching call. And by that afternoon, she had a new contract.
Wow.
For a training that she was going to do once a month for 12 months.
That's amazing.
We get so caught up when things don't necessarily go the way we thought it was going to go. It should have been that everybody was like, yes, I want to join. It's not what happened.
Right. As they build, they should come, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I built it. It's been going on for 2 years. They going And then I was like, no, they didn't. I guess they didn't love it, but that's all right. I was a little salty, y'all. I took it back old school. I was a little salty, y'all. But learn that things like that is going to happen. It's you fall back on, how bad do I really want it? I said I want this to be a world voice league. I want to connect people from all over the world. And earlier we were doing the World Voice Summit, where we've gathered 80 plus speakers to come together and speak and empower and educate. And the speaker from today, she said, don't stop doing what you're doing. She said, oh, you think it's going off now, and that, so many people are coming and connecting with you and getting what they need now. It's about to get even better. And it's interesting because I said, oftentimes we'll hear somebody will be telling us the positive in the midst of all heck breaking loose.
Right. That's right.
Kind of looking at
hear that.
You kind of giving them the side eye, like you said.
Like, really? Right?
I don't know about all that. But, as she was saying, we're live and people just started commenting. And yeah, I'm praying for you. Even though I can't get to you, I'm praying for everything that you touch. And I'm just like, the comments were just rolling through. And I'm like, all right, y'all not going to have me crying on here. But, you never know how many lives you're touching.
That's right.
When you move forward, and that business, no matter what that business is, you could be putting toothpaste in new tubes. Whatever that business is that you rocking and rolling with it. Nobody else may understand it. Can we talk about it? I saw a commercial earlier for a luggage that it rolls by itself. So it was just following him through the airport. I said, we can't come up with anything. Y'all better just come on with it.
Exactly. That is crazy. I need to get that luggage. So make sure you give me that information.
Oh, we not even rolling the luggage on our. We just.
Oh boy, talking about lazy. Okay, we have got lazy.
That one and the one that you ride on.
Yeah.
I said, between the two of them, listen. Come on, y'all better come on with it. Let's go.
Well, but like you said, the big thing is it's about just keep moving. Realize that you have a purpose. We all have it, and it's so easy to talk ourselves out of what we're trying to do. But like I said, it takes that one person's time just to remind you you're doing this and you're doing it the right way and you're doing it for a reason. You've got a God-given talent and you have a purpose here. And I want to tell you, we are thankful for you. We are very thankful for you. And for those or anyone who is in business, you all have an opportunity to do something, to put a blessing on yourself and to put a blessing for others. And that's the key. That is truly the key.
Oh, very.
Exactly. But I have one more question. So tell me, what else you got going on? So do you have any? I know you, like you said, you didn't have 30 left. So how many other events do you have coming up here anytime soon that you want to share with everybody?
So we currently have the World Voice League going on, and
Mm-hmm.
it is a free virtual summit with 80 plus speakers. It's going on all February. And they're coming to empower you, educate you on everything and anything from book publishing to podcasting. We've had from different areas. So we've had, of course, people from all over the U.S. But then today somebody was on from Canada. Earlier this week, we had someone on from Scotland. Someone else that had once lived in Uruguay. We've had people that are coming in from Africa, from the UK. And so it's just a matter of, really saying, look, as entrepreneurs, as speakers, as authors, when we decide that we're going to come together, we're really going to come together. And a lot of us are dealing with the same things and need the same encouragement and the same empowerment. And when we have that understanding, then we can make connections. And that was one of the biggest pieces that I wanted to happen. And so I've been watching people, make connections and get some business ideas out there. That's what it's all about. And so that is a free summit. You can register by going to bit.ly/World Voice Summit and register. You'll get the link for you to be able to join us on Zoom. And then we live broadcast one of the segments every day on my Facebook Live.
All right. Well, that's awesome. I have to catch up with that. So, I mean, you like say you're always doing something positive and doing something great. So why don't you tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you and they can find you?
Yes, I'm World Voice League all across social media. World Voice League on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and come check me out. We have a free community on Facebook called the World Voice League. It's hashtag World Voice League, empowering the world to use their voice. And it's a community of people from all over the world that's just coming in there, sharing and having some fun, sometimes some good laughs, some encouragement, because it's needed. It's necessary.
That's right.
So that's the free group. By all means, come and join us. We would love to have you in there.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Altovise. You are such a pleasure. Absolutely a pleasure. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. And like I said, I'll have you come back and on this show because we will have plenty more to talk about, and definitely want to have you as a guest on the Author's Corner again because we love talking about our books, and so you definitely have a lot to share. And again, like I said, thank you so much. Do you have any last words for everyone?
You know what? Show up. Show up. Authentically you. Show up. Giggles, unicorns, rainbows, whatever that may mean. Eating brownies and ice cream before dinner.
I'm not hanging out with you for that, okay? I can't have all that before dinner.
We were at an event. I think it was in Fort Lauderdale. Went to a restaurant to eat, and everybody else ordered food, and I ordered the brownie, and it was the best brownie I've ever had. It was Oreo on top, brownie in the middle, and chocolate chip cookie on the bottom.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Everybody at the table was looking at me going, are you going to eat that? Like, you're not going to order food or anything? Are you going to eat?
Oh my gosh. That is
everybody ordered it.
Well, see, like you said, you don't have to conform. Nobody said that when you go to dinner that you have to have dinner, right? It's just like breakfast food. I love my breakfast food at night. I need ice cream for breakfast too when you're not supposed to. So absolutely.
I have teenagers. They eat everything at any time.
Right. I could imagine. Yeah, I've been there, done that. So, but okay. But anyway, again, thank you so much for coming on Altovise. Like I said, you are a pleasure. I'll be talking to you soon. Keep up the wonderful work that you're doing for these ladies. Because like I said, we need you and we definitely appreciate you. And you have a lot of wonderful people listening to you tonight. We got Tracy, Latasha, we have Donna, we have, let's see, who else do we have on here? I'm going through the list real quick. Tiffany. So we have a lot of people that have been really paying attention to our show this evening. Like I said, thank you again. And we'll see you back soon.
Definitely. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So have a good evening. Bye. All right, everyone. That was a phenomenal guest, Altovise Pelzer. She is, like I said, an amazing woman. I've known her now for more than a year, and I just love having the opportunity to talk to her. But the other thing I want to talk about real quickly before we end the show tonight is that we have an amazing event that is going on in the community here on Saturday. I'm here in the Washington, D.C. metro area, and I just wanted to quickly talk about the 10th annual Black History Celebration that is coming on Saturday, which is February the 9th from 12 to 3. It's going to be held at Mills Parole Elementary School, which is at 1 George and Marion Phelps Lane in Annapolis, Maryland. This Black History celebration is hosted and sponsored by VIP Events Concierge, Dr. Larry White Sr. And I just want to quickly talk about some of our special guests. We have our keynote speaker is going to be Dr. Essie McCoy. And the VIP speakers, I will be speaking. As you know, I am Kimberly McLemore. And we have Dr. Tashika Green, who will be speaking and hosting as well. We have Dr. Valika Moore, who is a special VIP guest. We have author Ashley Little, who's a special VIP guest speaker and a host. And we also have author Linda Aray, who is a VIP special guest and speaker. And we also have Dr. Marcy Ross, who is also a VIP speaker and guest. And we have several other individuals who will be getting awards. We're having our children who will be doing some other events throughout this wonderful event. Like I said, the event is on Saturday in Annapolis, Maryland from 12 to 3. I hope that you all can come out and celebrate our Black History event. This is a huge special one because it's our 10th year. And we're going to be talking about the legacy and heritage of African Americans, history, past, present, and future. So I hope that we can all see you there on Saturday. So if you have nothing else, it's free. There's free parking. So just come out and be supportive. And also we want our children to be able to see what we do in our community so we can continue to grow, right? So that's one special announcement I wanted to make. And then, of course, the other special announcement I wanted to make real quickly is the fact that next Thursday isn't, because normally I'm here every Thursday. It's Valentine's Day. Believe it or not, I have people who do not want me to do a show next Thursday because they're going to be with their loved ones. So I'm perfectly fine with that. So I just wanted to let you all know that I will be back the following week, which will be on the 21st. And I have another wonderful guest coming on, and her name is Miss Wandra Kane. So be prepared for me bringing out that information for the 21st. I'll be doing my thing with the promoting and marketing for the next couple of weeks. But until then, you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a happy Valentine's Day, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.